lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party.
Good morning and welcome back to the Win Celtic Fans View on this Tuesday morning. I hope it finds you well today. It's a little bit cloudy here. Hope it's not too bad where you are, wherever you are around the world. And so today, let's get straight into it. Last night, just a quick reminder of the Boxing Day just given. We are sitting just over the 60% mark now. And the Boxing Day event will be a fantastic day. We're raising money for the Celtic Foundation, which is an absolutely wonderful organisation. And I see that they had their Christmas dinner for the elders yesterday. Anyway, that's the fundraiser and that's the page, which is along the bottom of the screen here. And you can get it, it's the first link within every single video if you care to donate. But anyway, let's move on to more pressing things. And last night, the players have been given some time off by Brendan Rodgers after winning the League Cup, putting us up to 119 trophies in total. And as the players went to watch some darts, they went to watch the darts, they thought they would troll the Rangers players and the Rangers fans, and Cameron Carter-Vickers was spotted putting up 119 as the Celtic players, and look, even Stephen Welsh was there. Stephen Welsh enjoying himself as the trolled Rangers just a little bit. Just a little bit, didn't they? But they didn't leave it there. No, they didn't leave it there. They left a little message on the table for any Rangers fans that may be in the room. Bring your dinner. Hashtag 119. Bring your dinner. Hashtag 119. That is just... no idea what they're on. Bring your dinner. Hashtag 119. You've got to admit that the Celtic players are in absolutely fine form. And just get the right one. We're all over the place this morning. The Celtic players are in absolutely fine form, having a little bit of banter with their rivals across the city. And you've got to say, fair play to them, because we should be rubbing it in. It's absolutely a fantastic achievement. And I'm going to say this. If it was them that had won 119 trophies, I'm sure that the Scottish media would be all over it. And the fact, celebrating the fact that the club had won 119 trophies and they were the most successful club in Europe. And I just think that it shows you what Scotland really is when the media are neglecting the fact that Celtic have been so successful. And against adversity, you could say, because let's face it, if you read the Paul Larkin books, Anyone But Celtic, you'll understand that there's a lot of Scottish society in prominent places that would love Celtic to just completely disappear out of existence. But we didn't. We paid our £5 million by Fergus McCann, paid it to the bank, and paid the overdraft, and we lived to see another day. We paid our debts to society. Yes, we paid our debts and we lived. And we didn't only live, but we flourished. And we have turned into a force to be reckoned with, again, not only within Scottish football, but within European context. Yes, when you look at the European football, over the years, it hasn't been the best. But you can actually say now that this season, especially with the new format, it is looking better for Celtic. Now, there's a long way to go. There is a long way to go. I'm not going to say that, look, we're absolutely brilliant at Celtic. We're absolutely brilliant in the league, in the Champions League. No, we're not. There's still room for improvement. And that will take us on to the next transfer window and the window after that. We have to remember that as it stands just now, there's half a season left of this season. Brendan Rodgers only has 1.5 seasons left in his contract. He's basically got 1.5 years to go. And do we sign Brendan Rodgers up for longer? Would you like to see Brendan Rodgers signed up now? Or would you rather wait till the summer? Let's start a little poll this morning. So there's a little poll for the little amount of people that is on this morning. Would you like to see Brendan Rodgers get a longer contract at Celtic? Because when you think about it, he does he's brought in a lot of success to Celtic since his time. And I did say, there was people that said right at the beginning when Brendan Rodgers did come back, they said, oh, he'll jump ship at the first thing. And I said, no, he won't, because he's coming back with a bit of purpose. He's coming back to repair the damage that he's seen is what was done to his reputation as far as Celtic fans were concerned. He was coming back to prove a point to not only the Scottish media and to Celtic fans. You know, when he got the call from Dermot Desmond when he was going to take a year sabbatical, I think that there was only one person that could have made the phone call, and it was our owner. A lot of people did not want Brendan to come back. There's a lot of people still think that Brendan shouldn't be at the club, but he's won the fans over. Remember what he said on the doorstep at Celtic Park when he first came back. And remember the first time that he came to Celtic, there were around about 20,000 people in the ground at Celtic Park that day when he first came back. The second time he came back, it was a couple of hundred. And he stood on the doorstep and he says to the people that do not think I should be here, come back and talk to me at the end of May. Come back and talk to me at the end of May. That was a man that knew he had one vision, and one vision was to win the league. And if he didn't win the league, I'm sure that there would have been many people who would have chased him at the door and wanted him chased out the door. The fact that he stayed true to his word, he knows how to dominate Scottish football, he knows how to get the best out of these Celtic players, he knows how to win things, and he was always going to be judged, and he will still be judged when it comes to a European context. Last season, you could think the red cards in European football, and Brendan Rodgers spoke about the fact that the players weren't experienced enough at that level. They were a little bit naive at that level. The players that were brought in, they just weren't good enough to play in for Celtic or in the Champions League. Let's be fair, they just weren't good enough to play in the Champions League for any team, never mind just Celtic. But Brendan Rodgers did put his foot down and get in the type of player that he said that could make Celtic better. Now, a lot of people will say, look, he's still running on Ange Postecoglou's team. Well, you know, that there's a lot of managers throughout the history of Celtic have got ex-managers to be thankful for, if you think about it. Martin O'Neill was thankful that a previous manager brought in Henrik Larsson. Yes, because if it wasn't for a certain Wim Jansen, we would never have had Henrik Larsson at Celtic. Henrik Larsson would never have been on the radar of Celtic if it wasn't for Wim Jansen. And there was many managers after Wim Jansen that had the pleasure of working with Henrik. You know, so for people saying that, it's Ange's team, you just only have to look back at the history of Celtic Football Club to understand that what you're doing just now as Celtic manager is not just for the benefit of you, and you have to get that into your mindset, and that's where Brendan Rodgers comes into his own. Ange Postecoglou came into the club, and he had one thing on his mind, and that was to make Celtic great again. Yep, and not to make them great again. Yes, it wasn't to make them great again. But what he did do is he brought in players that were not just going to be here for the short term. He knew that some of these players would be sold on, and it's always the Celtic model. But Ange had one thing in mind, and he always knew that it was a stepping stone to bigger things, and it is what it is. Luckily for us now, we've got Brendan Rodgers that has been there and done it. He's done it in the English League before, and I don't see him getting rushed back to the dizzy heights of the EPL anytime soon, because he's got everything that he wants within his football career now and his football management, and he's at a level, and he's at a stage in his life where he's happy with things. He's happy with his life. He's happy with the way where he's working. He's working at his dream job, and he's working with his family. And he sees Celtic fans as his family, and they are his family, because his brother still gets on the bus that comes from Belfast to come to games every single week. And you can't take that away from Brendan Rodgers. And I think having him back at the club, compared to Ange Postecoglou, it's someone that gets the feelings of the fans. You know, Brendan Rodgers is completely different from Ange. Ange will always have a fantastic part in our history, like many other managers that have been successful. Even Ronnie Dyler. Ronnie Dyler still has a fantastic place in our history, because when you think about it, if it wasn't for Ronnie Dyler, if Ronnie Dyler didn't have the success that he did have, we wouldn't have had the 9 in a row. And it's as simple as that. You know, I think personally, I thought that the Ronnie years were absolutely fantastic. You could get as many tickets as you wanted for away games and European games. It was brilliant. There was no clambering for trying to get tickets for semi-finals and cup finals. So anyway, it was just... there's Davy Searan. I watched the game in your boozer and the boozer with Kevin James. Still feeling fragile today. Yep, James says it was the first time in years, Davy, that he phoned me the night. I spoke to him the day before because it was his birthday, and he was like, I have no idea, Kaiser. I think it's just a couple of their mates. James was like, it's been years since he's went to the pub to watch the football. Dyler was empty the stadium, Baz. Dyler was emptying the stadium, Baz. No, he was. Monty, put this into perspective, right? I class the people that went to Celtic games. Now, this might go against what a lot of you think, but the people that I know that still had their season tickets through the Ronnie Dyler years, that didn't give up their Celtic tickets, are our true core fan base. Now, I'll say it. A lot of other Celtic podcasts will not say this because they don't want to upset the Celtic family, but the true core of the Celtic fan base didn't walk away during the Ronnie Dyler years. Yes, we had a section upstairs that was empty. That filled up. There's a waiting list again because Brendan Rodgers came in. The core fan base of Celtic that spend their money every single week, that go to home and away games, are the same fans that have done it for years. It's not ones that have had their season ticket for 2 or 3 years. It's the same core fan base that have been going for, you could say, 30, 40, 20, 10, 15 years, 20 years. It is the same fans that pay their money week in, week out. And Ronnie Dyler had an amazing affiliation with the away support. The connection that Ronnie Dyler had with the away support. I'll back Ronnie Dyler all day long. I don't care what you say, Monty. I went to the games then. I was a season ticket holder then, and the fans that did not give up their season ticket their season tickets, do you know, they're the true fans in my eyes. They didn't give it up because one manager wasn't playing good football or he wasn't a high fucking named manager. Ange Postecoglou wasn't a high named manager. Everyone thought, who the fuck's he when he came in? Do you know what I mean? So, anyway, it is what it is. I love Dyler years. The Ronnie Roar. It was in love with the concept, building Celtic for the future. Exactly. And anyone that has a dig at Ronnie Dyler, right, you're basically dismissing the 9 in a row. You're dismissing the 9 in a row. And you can't go through life dismissing because you didn't like the manager. You played shit football. People say that Brendan Rodgers' style of football was shit before he left the last time. But anyway, that's why he was pish. He was pish, says Monty. Pure raging this morning. He was pish. Hey, listen, people could say that Davy Hay was pish. You know? It is what it is. He was part of the 9 in a row, and it should be celebrated that he was part of 9 in a row. Without Ronnie Dyler, we would never have had... He can't be pish. He won the league. You've got to win what's in front of you, right? You've got to win what's in front of you. You cannot say he was pish. He was brought in to do a job, and it was to win the league for Celtic. And that was it. To maintain the current status quo of Celtic being successful. And he did that. Right? He did it. Without Ronnie Dyler, we wouldn't have 9 in a row. So you can't just come out and say, he was pish. You've got to give the man a bit... Ronnie Dyler's actually went on to have a half-decent career since he left Celtic. So you can't say he was pish. Come on, mate, you can't say that. I mean, we've all got our own views. Monty. But I don't personally think he was pish. For me, it was a fantastic time to go to games. It was absolutely brilliant. It was easy to get tickets. You know, a lot of mates that went to games way before Ronnie Dyler still go to games now and have still got their season tickets, and I think that that's the true Celtic fan base. A lot of people might not like me saying it, but there we go. I think it is. Would you like to say there's 2% is in the building? Paul Baird must be in the building. There's 2% say they do not want Brendan Rodgers to get a longer contract, and 98% say yes. There's only 42 votes. Paul Baird must have 2 accounts, and Paul Baird will be voting with his 2 accounts. Hope Rodgers has a better plan for 2nd of January. They're convinced they'll beat us because we're conceding to them. Who cares? Like Carly, He was pissed. He should have gone full time after the home game in Maribor. I was at that game. Oh, Jesus. Listen, I can remember going to see Ronny Deila in Sweden. And, yeah. Obviously, Baz is drunk. It's T1. No, it wasn't the best of times, but it was, when you look, I wonder if we should do a comparison to Ronny Deila in Europe and Ange Postecoglou in Europe. There's one for you. Who was the better manager in Europe, Ange Postecoglou or Ronny Deila? There you go. And people say, anyway. He's better than the One Dimension Postecoglou. This has totally got them going. Who are you talking about, T1? Are you talking about Ronny Deila or are we talking about Brendan Rodgers? Anyway, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and we'll see the little sign there. Cameron Carter-Vickers and the Celtic players decided to wind up the Rangers fan. And not only the Rangers fans, but the Rangers players. It seems like Celtic were still enjoying their time off yesterday and last night when they did take two. Up there, you see the picture? Yeah, the 119. Yeah, having a little dig at the 119, and then after that, they also left a little thing on the table. Bring your dinner. #119. I wonder what that means. That'll be like smell the glove. You're now going to see T-shirts with "Bring Your Dinner" #119 on it, and nobody will have a real clue what it means. It'll be like the smell of the glove day. Can you imagine that? We'll need to do that, won't we? Bring your dinner #119. Oh, that's something that I should need to get onto today, then, isn't it? But anyway, there's that one, and there. Celtic headlines today. There's, the headlines are still all about that greeting mob across the road. Keith Jackson shares if Celtic can win the domestic treble. Of course, they'll win this domestic treble. I don't see anyone really stopping us in the league. When it comes down to the Scottish Cup, Celtic may have their work cut out for them. I fear that there may be another Celtic Rangers game at the end of May, and they'll feel right up for that if there is. But there's a lot of football to go for that. And then obviously Chris Boyd having his meltdown yesterday. Jack Butland wanted to feel hurt after watching Celtic. Oh, Jesus, Butland's going to come down as another serial loser, isn't he? Anyway, how many people have voted? Because I'm not staying on too long this morning, because you kept me on way over last night. I don't want to start going. I don't know why YouTube have started this nonsense. Brendan's the man. Let's jump into the comment section and see what you're saying this morning. The Maribor game at home is a disgrace. Good morning from Germany, says Stephen Cassidy. Carly says, I hope Rodgers is a better plan for the 2nd of January. They are convinced they'll beat us because we are conceding to them. Conceding to them, that's only 7 goals that we've let in all season. And for 3 of them might be in one game, a game that we're only at 50% of how good we can play. I don't think that we'll play as bad again this season. Kaiser says to Monty, he was not the top tier manager, but I think we got him too soon. He's a better manager now than he was at Celtic. Yes, he is, Kaiser. He is. He was pissed, says Monty. Should have gone. Carly says he'll have sussed them out before we play them. Yep. Let's agree to disagree with diet. Yeah, that's what this channel's all about, mate. Monty, it's all about Celtic fans getting their due. We don't all agree on everything. I mean, I think that some players are woeful and other players think that players are fantastic. That's what makes Celtic great again. We're going to milk it. It is what makes Celtic great. Not greet. But then again, if we'd lost the game, maybe it would have been us that would have been sitting greeting and we wouldn't be doing as many lives. Anyway, Carly says, Pork is better. I'm sick of listening to them being delighted they've scored so many goals for us. January window needs some attention, in my opinion. Left back, winger, etc., says Craigie White. Yes. And T1 says, yeah, Ange left us for a shit Tottenham. He went to Tottenham for one thing and cash. I mean, I said at the time, why is he going to Tottenham? Tottenham will never win anything. Tottenham will never, ever win anything. But anyway, we move on from him. Ange told Tom Rodgers to leave when he was the Aussie manager. Don't know, don't care. Ange was just Ange. Anyway, yes, the January transfer window. We are getting closer to that time where we can players can leave and talk to other clubs. One of the big ones, obviously, for this coming next week or so. There is only just over a week and a bit till the end of the year. The situation with Greg Taylor, it's not been cleared up yet. I wonder if Brendan Rodgers will be talking to Greg Taylor, or if that was the swan song, if that was Greg Taylor's final piece of silverware that he's going to lift at Celtic. Even though he leaves Celtic, he will still get a winner's medal sent to him because he's played enough games. Or will he? Because he won't be a Celtic player if he leaves. Does he still get that winner's medal? That's interesting, that. I wonder if he does leave, Greg Taylor, does he still get his winner's medal? Because he's played enough games to get it. Interesting. I wonder. But anyway, yes, there is a couple of positions that will need some attention looked at. The left-back area with Alex Bailly saying that, look, he would always want to go back to his childhood club. He's been at the club for 11 years. I mean, that's the same as Kieran Tierney saying that he would love to come back to Celtic. Kieran Tierney said he'd love to come back to Celtic. I have no qualms about Alex Bailly saying, look, if I had a preference, I'd go back to Barcelona and I'd get into the first team at Barcelona, but we'll wait and see what life brings, because he does not know where he's going to be next season. So any false headlines out there saying that Alex Bailly wants to go back to Barca, put it into context of what he said. When you look at the Greg Taylor situation, that does need cleared up, but we also need to bring in someone that can give Greg Taylor a run for their money. Now, will it be Alex Bailly? Will Celtic put in a cheeky offer for him? Or will it be another? Because Celtic do need to bring in a left back to give the player a bit of competition. There also needs to be another striker brought into Celtic. Now, Johnny Kenny is on his way back to Celtic as we speak, and he will be given some game time to see if he's good enough and to fight it out for the third place striking slot. It would save us tens of thousands. It would probably save us a couple of million, actually, bringing in Johnny Kenny out of cold storage. And I've spoke about it before. I think he's a player that does deserve to be given his chance at Celtic, because Brendan Rodgers always talks about what a player needs to go through in a football education. I think Johnny Kenny has got his head down and he's got on with his football education. To the players that have left Celtic from the youth set up because they weren't going to get into the first team, they didn't believe Brendan Rodgers' ethos of having to work for your place into the team. They thought they were better than they were, and they thought they were just going to walk in, and they demanded a certain amount of money. Johnny Kenny's not doing that, is he? He's just quietly getting on with his work and scoring goals, making a little bit of name for himself, and then it's going to be if he can fit into Brendan Rodgers' plans, and I think that's what Celtic will be looking at when they get the young lad back into training. Other positions that we need to look at is obviously the left wing situation. Brendan Rodgers wants another winger in, which means that sounds like Lewis Palmer will be getting punted out. We need a number 6 in the Brownie mould, says 28th of May. We do need a holding midfield player that's got a bit of more experience for Champions League level. I will say that, because Callum McGregor's better when he's further forward. There's no arguing with that. Callum McGregor is a far better player when he's not sitting in that holding position. If we signed Kenny 18, well said Baz for football education. Yeah, Kaiser, it's Brendan Rodgers has mentioned it more than enough. We brought him in at 18. He's had his football education. He deserves his chance. Bring him back. Send Cummins the other way for a football education. Well, Cummins is out of contract. Daniel Cummins is one player that could leave Celtic for free. Saw some of our players last night. Equals Celtic require 119. Yes, that's the picture. Look at the picture on there. It's the picture on the screen. AR. What's what you're doing? Joseph Carley is the best hunter right there. Porch Up Express says Johnny Kenny is doing well at the minute, but we'll see if his step up being a Celtic player affects him. Well, Pork Chop Express, you've got players that are playing in the youth team at Celtic that are demanding their chance in the first team. Do you know? And they think that they're better than we are because they're playing for the B team. At least Johnny Kenny's out there doing it in real life football, and that's why I think that Johnny Kenny deserves his chance, because he's listened to what the backroom staff have said. You know, he's not spitting his dummy out. He's not refusing to sign a new contract. He's not demanding crazy money. Why are we losing academy players for free if they aren't getting a chance? We don't lose them for free. We do get a payment around about 348 grand or something, 350 grand for them when we sell them, roughly about 6 months to go. But anyway, AR says, I haven't woke up yet, can't even see that. Wipe your eyes, get the sleep out your eyes. Dry your eyes, mate. Are you a Rangers fan in disguise? Oh, Jesus. Carly says, Big Des, do you remember Paul Hogan? Yeah, is that his brother Hulk? Oh, didn't he be spreading bad news on the channel this morning, Carly, if it's going to be bad news. But anyway, the Celtic Stars obviously having a little bit of a laugh at Rangers. Otherwise, Celtic news-wise, there's not a lot news out there this morning. Club trying to negotiate a deal for a Celtic player. Brendan Rodgers will have the final say, is one that has just came out, and that's talking about the one and only Alexandro Bernabe. That's nonsense that Celtic were wanting €10 million, £8 million for Bernabe. I think it was nonsense. I don't think that anyone at Celtic would have turned around and said we want $8 million for him. And then they've already, and it's the way that reporters then report it. Reportedly, after lowering from €10 million to €5 million already, back in March, Celtic allowed the 24-year-old to join the Brazilian club on loan until the end of the year. He's been in Brazil for about 2 years now, hasn't he? But anyway, the Celtic man played 25 games in all competition for International, and they want to keep the player. It's an old story. It's just Sport Witness putting out an old story. There's no new context there. This is the problem what you get with a lot of these bloggers and a lot of these fan media sites, is they do struggle for content, so they regurgitate old stories, and it's not a new story. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing took place. We don't even know if the South Americans have been in Scotland yet to talk to Celtic. They did say that we were going to send someone up to Scotland to talk to Celtic to try and broker the deal. Anyway, that's about it from the Celtic news desk this morning. Only staying on for half an hour because you managed to keep me on for a full hour last night. So we need to finish off the poll. And there's 3%. There's 8 to 9 votes. 91 votes. There is 3 amongst us that doesn't want to keep Brendan Rodgers. Paul Bear's logging in and out his accounts going, oh God. You're normally joking, Paul, but you probably are, aren't you? Would you like to see Brendan Rodgers get a longer contract? Right, I need 9 votes. Come on, give me 9 votes, and then we could finish it off at the 100. We're at 92, right? How could it go? It's at 91. How can it go from 91 to 92? It's at 92 now. That was a bit weird. We need, we're 93. We need 7 votes. We do need 7 votes now. Come on, give us the 7 votes. And then we could finish this poll. We'll get it to the 100 mark. It's at early morning. 28th. Guys, I scrap the youth setup, buy Shamrock Rovers and establish Celtic group, send all the youth players there, 16, and return anything good enough. That's an idea, but we're not meant to do something similar to that with a European club at one point. A few years back, but that never happened. 28th in the House of Pain is hilarious. If you had to pick one player to be on our team, who would it be? Andy says, if I had to pick one player, I don't know, because there's various positions that you need. Tell you who I wouldn't mind though. Jamal for Barcelona. All day long. There you go. There, I've told you. Jamal from Barcelona. Young kid. He's got the world at his feet. He's going to be going. He'll become the most expensive player in the world at some point. He will become the most expensive player in the world. It's a turncoat. Carly, he was maybe a current burner in the first place. Kaiser, there's a partnership with the club in Austria Baz, but it never amounts to anything. I know, yeah, there is that Admiral Wacker, whatever it is they're called, isn't it? But we sent our youth players there, and I don't know, we sent our young keeper there, and then we sent him to Dunfermline. So we'll see what happens with him coming back for Dunfermline, but you never know. Do we hate English most? The Huns. Doak looking like he's going to be a world-class winger. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But he's not at Liverpool, Richie, is he? Monkey Mobile man. Huns before everyone. Hate Huns before the English. I don't really hate the English. Just dislike them. A lot of English fans are Celtic fans as well. Right, come on. Oh, we're on 105. I missed that. We're at 105 votes, and there's still 3%. We're going to end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. End the poll. And there the poll is up for the... Come on then. The poll's disappeared. It's YouTube playing it. Hey, there we go. And they managed to steal 1% as always. I think they were deciding which to put. Somebody must be sitting in Google going, who can we take our share from? Anyway, 106 votes, 97% say yes, they'd like to see Brendan Rodgers on a longer contract, and 2% said no. There was two people. Two people said, not a chance, man. Anyway, 106 votes completed. Baz is on loan at Middlesbrough. Yeah, he's on loan at Middlesbrough. Doesn't mean to say that he's going to come back to Liverpool and be a star. Doesn't mean that he's going to come back to Liverpool and be a star. Many players go out on loan for Liverpool and never see the light of day at Liverpool. Depends on what manager comes in next, if you ask me. But who cares? It's Liverpool. Huns don't mind English. Yeah. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. Okay, the Huns are the Guffey English Army. I fucking hate both of them. Right, let's get this one picture back up. I wonder what this means. Bring your dinner. #119. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans. Just like the players did last night. Just like the players out enjoying themselves, giving it the big 119. Yes, we all know what that means. Anyway, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. Should do the video, shouldn't we? Should do the video? Yeah, let's do the video.